Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's really been a while. I hope everyone's doing okay and staying safe. Today's video is going to be a one brand tutorial. I'm going to be using only Wet n Wild makeup for my face. I am going to be cheating a little bit because I don't own a Wet n Wild primer or a mascara. The primer available here is a matte primer and I'm not a huge fan of matte primers due to my dry skin. So I did not purchase it and I don't know why. I've just never bought the mascara. So other than those two products, everything else that I use will be Wet n Wild. It's just these two that I will be using other brands for. This is the look I created using all Wet n Wild products. I hope you like it. I really did like how it turned out. And if you want to see how to get this look, then just keep on watching. Okay, so first I'm going to prime my eyes using the Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer. Now I've used this a couple of times and it's definitely not my favorite. Actually, I don't like it at all. It does not really blend very well for me and it just appears patchy and it's a little too sticky. I mean, I know primers are supposed to be sticky, but this is just a little too sticky, so much so that it doesn't really blend and you can actually see the primer on your eye. So it's not my favorite, but just for this video I'm just going to use it. I typically like to go in with a concealer and just set it and then continue with my eyeshadow on top of it. So this is a very simple eye look. You're not going to need many shadows for this. I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild V.I.Purple eyeshadow palette. This is how it looks on the inside. It's got a lot of purple tones. It's really good for a smoky eye. I mean, for night looks. I don't know how many day looks you can get out of this. I like it. It's not my favorite out of all their Color Icon eyeshadow palettes. The only shade I really dislike is this golden one here. I don't understand it. I don't like it. But yeah, anyway, we're just gonna go. So I'm just gonna take this transition shade first. I'm just gonna buff it in my crease and the outer corners of my eye. There is a lot of fallout in this palette, especially with the shimmer shades. So I would suggest going in with your finger for the shimmer shades and also always doing your eyes first. It just helps you clean out whatever fallout is there on your face. Now I'm gonna go in with this shade here. I'm going to use a brush first and then I'll use my finger later on. And I'm just going to apply this basically all over my lid. I'm going to go in back with my first brush just to blend out the edges. I'm not going in with any more product because it's a really dark matte. Just to intensify the outer corners, I'm going to go in with this grayish black. Again, back to the blending with the first brush. Now I'm going to go in with this pink shade with my finger and just apply it on the inner corners of my eye. And then I'm going to go in back with the first shimmer shade we used, again with my finger, and just apply it on the middle of my eye. And now for my favorite shade in this palette, I'm just going to take this shade. It's a nice sparkly color. I would say it's more sparkle than pigment. It does show pigment on the finger, but when you put it on the eyes, I feel it translates more as the shine more than the pigment. So I'm just going to put that on the center of my eye. Okay, so now I'm just going to highlight my brow bone using the lighter shade. Now let's get started on the face before we finish up the eyes. So I'm just going to take a makeup wipe and just clean out all the fallout and carve out the edges. Now for primer, like I said, I don't have a Wet n Wild primer, so I'm just going to use e.l.f. Prime and Hydrate and the Maybelline Baby Skin Pore Eraser for my pores. Okay, so foundation, I'm going to be using a new foundation. I have not tried this out yet. I have tried the Wet n Wild Photofocus foundation before, but this is the new one. This is the Dewy one, and I haven't tried this. So I can't wait to see how it goes. I'm in the shade Classic Beige, so I'm just going to use this on one side of my face using a makeup sponge and the other side using a brush. It might be a tad bit too light for me, but that's okay. Bronzer to the rescue. I think you'll get more of a glow if you apply it with a makeup sponge. We will be trying it out in just a second. Yes, definitely more dewy. I wouldn't say this has the same sort of coverage as the other Photofocus foundation. This one's coverage is more sheer, for me at least. You have to build it up, but you can build it up. Yeah, it's not bad. I would say this would be a good foundation for everyday wear because it doesn't have too much coverage, but at the same time it gives you a nice glow to the skin. Don't know if you can tell. I like this better with the sponge than the makeup brush though. Now for concealer, I'm gonna go in with the Photofocus Concealer. I really like this. I mean, I've used this for a really long time now. For powder, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Pressed powder. I mean, I've used this in almost all my videos if you've been watching. I love this powder. It's amazing. It has no flashback and it sets my face without making it look too cakey because of my dry skin. Really, really love this powder. I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Highlight stick. I'm just going to take it on my finger. Just apply it to the high points of my cheek. I will go in with a highlighter later, but just for some glow. Okay, so now let's just finish up the eyes. I'm just going to take the same transition shade we used and then just run it along my lower lash line. And I'm going to take the same dark matte black and just run it very close to my lash line, just on the outer corners. I'm going to line my eyes using the Proline Felt liner. I've used this once before and it's really easy to apply. I like it more than their liquid liner, but now I think they have a new breakup proof liquid liner which is supposed to be really amazing, but it hasn't come here yet, so I haven't been able to try this out. To line my waterline, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof liner. This is a retractable liner and I haven't used this before, but I think it's good. That glided on pretty easy. I didn't have to target my waterline or anything. And like I said, I don't have Wet n Wild mascara, so I'm just going to apply some mascara and be right back. Okay, so now let's just continue with the face. I'm just going to use this Wet n Wild contouring palette, this contour shade, bronze and contour a little bit. For blush, I'm going to be using my favorite Wet n Wild blush, which is the Color Icon blush in Mellow Wine. I really love this shade. For highlight, I'm going to be using the Hello Halo highlight. This is my new favorite. I'm just going to mix both. Oh, I love this. It's like a nice wet look. I love it. I'm just gonna use the same highlight to highlight my inner corners. And now to melt it all into my skin and set my makeup, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Natural Finish setting spray. I like the setting spray. It does make my makeup last. It does make my skin feel a little tight, so that's the only reason I don't really love it, but otherwise it's a good setting spray. Now for lips, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Gel Lip Liner. I have like a few shades in these. I have both. I have the wooden lip liner as well as the gel lip liner, and I have to say I don't like the wooden ones much because they do tug at your lips. They're a little difficult to apply, but the gel ones are a dream. It's retractable and it is so easy to apply. It literally just glides over your skin. If you haven't tried the Wet n Wild gel lip liners, you must. It is really amazing. They don't have a huge range in shades, but it's really nice. Today I'm going to be using Gone Burgundy. This is one of my favorite shades. Then I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Megalast Liquid Catsuit Lipstick in Very Recognize. These are one of my favorite formulas to wear. They are so amazing and they do not move under a mask, by the way. They are totally mask proof. I'd spoken about them in my first video on my channel. It's really nice. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. So that completes this look. I really love Wet n Wild. It's a brand that I really do enjoy, and I try to get as many things from them as possible. I really think it's worth your money. It's so cheap and it's such good quality makeup, especially for people who are just learning to apply makeup. I think it's a brilliant brand. I like almost everything I've used today. The only thing I would say I strongly dislike is their eyeshadow primer, but everything else I really do like. Their eyeshadow palettes are really amazing. The one I used today would probably be the least favorite among all the ones I have, but the other ones are really amazing. Even this, if you like the color story, I'm sure you'll like it. So that completes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.